less than 72 hours to Edo governorship election, Seun Okinbaloye of Channels Television had interview with Comrade Oshiomhole. In our unusual way, GTV Africa was around, and for your benefit, we brought this for you to enjoy. Dear friends, brothers and sisters all over the world, subscribe to our YouTube channel GTV Africa and our Facebook GTV Africa Services. We'll bring more to your doorsteps. As the election is going, we promise to show you any angle that we find ourselves to let you see what is going on.
Excellency, former Governor of Edo State, thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. Perhaps it's just a few days before the election, and it's been a very intense past days. Your name has come up severally in this campaign for so many reasons. For you, do you think it's a minus or a plus for the candidate?
I believe it's a plus for the candidate and a huge minus for PDP. And so you need to understand, I mean, I feel joy. I'm very proud when I see the former PDP vice presidential candidate, my very good friend, Peter will be talking about Godfather Oshiomhole and the governor of Rivers, Oshiomhole, the chairman of PDP Secondus, Oshiomhole. I said, very good, because they will never forget how a small-looking man like me, who they dismissed in 2007 as someone who knew next to nothing outside labor agitation, that they were going to teach me a lesson. They suddenly found themselves in my classroom, where I am the professor. You know, it's a record that God used me and the good people of Edo State to recover this state from PDP. And they have made several efforts, even while they were at the federal level, to reclaim the state without success. And transmit power to someone on my party platform. Again, they failed. And I'm here. So you will wonder, why will the man, I'm no more national chairman of a political party, I'm just a member of APC now, a very proud member of that. What am I the issue? The issue is the fact that I lay foundation to dismantle PDP notorious rigging machine. And for them, rigging is a way of life. Whoever has dismantled it in this state, they can't forget it in a hurry. And to appreciate the damage that I did to them in Edo, you have to ask yourself the question. Even with federal incumbency that we have now, we have not been able to reclaim any of the other South-South states. So they must keep asking themselves, how did Adams chase us out of Edo? And unfortunately, I don't want to use an unfair word, but it borders on opportunism. Somebody they took to court, they showed their certificate, and so you should be also playing that. When you show what I said of Obaseki, you should also show what Danobi, PDP former chairman, said of Obaseki about his certificate. They are the one who revealed it. On the basis of which they even went to court, but they filed out of time. They show evidence to show that Obaseki did not, and I'm happy you put that question that day, and he could deny it. It's not whether you are in my house now. You are in my house. The issue is how did you go to my house? You came from Lagos. Okay, by air or by road? This is not mystical. You have to explain. So PDP exposed all of that. And now we have also, that was the basis for disqualification. And you then ask the question, how can you now fit somebody who, before a federal high court, you said, and it's correct, because we have certified true copy of the document with INEC, that the man swore to affidavit claiming that he graduated from University of Ibadan in 2006, and then he attached a certificate, a photocopy, that suggested he graduated in 1979, which means he lied on oath. All this we learned from PDP. So, of course, you should play back PDP mega rally, their flag off, and see the reaction when their new member entered. It's like, people are like, hired as they were, who is this? Now, look at when I entered the stadium, University of Benin Stadium. Look at the reaction of ordinary people. You must have watched, if you haven't, I'll show you the videos. When I walk around the street of Benin, how many of PDP former governors, whether in this state or in any other state, can walk freely without people stoning them? So my bond with the Edo people is so strong that they fear, and I believe correctly, that I will influence votes. I wish that you media don't edit yourself sometime to the point that the story doesn't make sense. Your correspondent attached to our campaign has seen some traditional rulers when we went around local government areas. Some traditional rulers saying, look, Oshiomhole, you are the photo, I have your official portrait here. I haven't removed it, and I will not remove it, because if you left, there has been no government. We don't know there's government. The last person that we knew was you, and that's why your photo is here. Or basically photograph is not there. And so we say, because we have seen you, we know that this time around, the person you are bringing will not disappoint us the way the previous one did. And that is why I have no apology when I say I apologize for introducing a man. If you do a reference for an employee and say that he's going to perform, he's productive, he's intelligent, reliable, and on the basis of your reference, or the employer contract him, only to find that the employee is dull, incompetent, always coming to work late, sleepy on duty, always drunk, and they draw your attention, you feel ashamed. So the part of honor is to do what I've done. Again, that hurt them. Because they are detained by ego, I'm not. I'm a pragmatist. But if I make a mistake, I own it up and I make conscious effort to correct it.
You said you've built a structure. I mean, this is your statement that you're now a professor teaching PDP, your opponent, how to win elections. But now you built a structure, obviously. But how does it feel now that that structure is working against you now?
The structure is not working against me.
The likes of the Governor Bassett,
it's not a structure.
You helped. The likes of the deputy
if
governor.
If I were to play back to you, yeah, governor, deputy governor, their tenure is going soon. God willing, by next tomorrow, by the 19th, the referendum will take place.
So you are confident this party is
very confident because Obasanjo has not done anything. All he did is resort to sophistry, do MOU, consultancy for everything. Those consultants want to see where they vote. So I think the point that is going for us is that Obasanjo forgot that the basis of my winning the election, and I keep saying that, it is not for nothing. I checked the records. There was no issue of vote buying. I won all the 18 local government areas. I scored 74.5% of the total vote cast in 2012. It was unknown, he admitted, to the Edo electorate. But because I told them he worked with me, and I have to promote him, they gave him the benefit of the doubt. And the basis of continuity was also clear. It wasn't ambiguous. Namely, Edo people believe if Oshiomhole could build that kind of beautiful hospital, Obasanjo would build one that's even more beautiful. Oshiomhole was building red roof schools that appeal to children, primary and secondary. Obasanjo will build the remaining schools that have not been built. We have interviewed people using professors of education from University of Benin, 6 of them, to empanel them to deal with the issue of corruption in recruitment of teachers so that we don't have illiterate teaching in our schools. After I stopped going to that lady that could not read affidavit. And now 4 years down the line, they're asking themselves, no new teacher is employed. You have schools. I wish we play back all the tapes. We see where every place we went to, the people, the traditional ruler, the community leaders, tells us we have no teachers in our school. I keep giving one particular example where a traditional ruler said, I have only 2.5 teachers in the secondary school in this village. And we're like, how? He said, because there are 3, 1 principal and 2 teachers. And one of the teachers will retire in December. And he said, if Obasanjo remains as governor, When that teacher retires, it means they are going to have two teachers. That's why I say 2.5. This is everywhere. And yet, I watch, and I know people watch you media guys, if not by Victoria, by sponsored conversation, Edo Best. How can you be Edo Best when you don't have teachers? And you close the College of Education, Ikiadolo, that is meant to produce teachers in our secondary schools, in our primary schools and certain secondary schools. That is a place upgraded, and it's in the heart of Benin, to a University of Education. And we agree on a policy that, going forward, the minimum qualification for teaching in our secondary schools should be people with bachelor's degree in education, whether accountancy, physics, biology, whatever it is, so that we are sure of the quality. Now, to check the result of the disaster in our educational sector, now these are things you can verify. So don't take it from me. Place a call to WAEC authorities and say, by 2014, 2015, when Oshiomhole was governor in Edo State, what was Edo's position in the ranking of state in terms of the performance of the students from the state in WAEC? We took third in WAEC, down from about 30th position, where we were in 2008 when I became governor. We took second in NECO, down from about 28th position, where we were by 2008 when I became governor. We brought it down, though. We took third and second. Obaseki, over the past 2-3 years, don't take it from me. Place a call to cross-check this fact. Edo did not even feature in the ranking, because in terms of the number of students that participated and their performance, we simply fell out of the ranking scale. But, so that is the way to measure. So when I see him talk about Edo Best, that is a huge fraud.
But there's been a lot of conversation around how you helped Governor Obaseki into power.
Yeah.
But there hasn't really been a lot of conversation around how he said he helped you also becoming governor, and how he helped you, why governor? Did he help you to become governor?
So this question, you know, as I said, I smile when I watch these things. Since it is clear now that he don't really want to be a governor, he's currently a governor, and he wants to perpetuate, he wants a second term, it means that he has always wanted to be a governor, right? It would have been a solid dream. Why didn't he help himself first before helping me? You know, as they say, when you fly, you are in an airplane, they tell you, should the oxygen mask fail, should there
be an emergency?
Should there be an emergency, oxygen mask will drop. Help yourself before helping another. So how come Obaseki couldn't make himself, if he was in a position, go and check the balance sheet of Afrivest, because he was a stockbroker, which local people call Kalu. Go and look at the balance sheet that they filed with the Corporate Affairs Commission and see Obaseki's net worth. All right? What Obaseki mistake for, when you are doing a ceremony, and I name you as master of ceremony, and the ceremony turned out to be successful, I will now claim that you organized the ceremony for me. How?
So you're saying he never helped you?
Wait, a man who was not a registered voter in Edo State, how can he say he account for? I hired him. The point is, I was very, and I remain convinced that sometimes, you know, I tell Edo people, this is Edo project. And every Edo brain that is willing to contribute ideas will want to listen. I had people like, of course, Obaseki. I had people like Imomo, who was deputy managing director of Shell. I had people like Aswe Igodaro. I had, there were about 18 Edo people from different professional backgrounds that we assembled. And I said, I challenge you guys to look at the situation in Edo and help us develop a blueprint. And then we can interrogate each other on how it can be operationalized. Like you have honorary board of advisors, just like President Buhari did recently. He had a panel well-known, some of them not so well-known, but some economists and others as honorary economic advisors. And now for those people to turn out tomorrow to say, we made Buhari president. No. You cannot give what you don't have. Does Obaseki have electoral value? Check his report. One of the cases PDP took to court was that he had double registration, that he registered in Lagos, and only in 2016, in his election, that he voted in Edo for the very first time. So how can a man who doesn't know, it's actually after he became governor, that he bought a house where he lives now. So do you know what makes a governor? His votes.
So you never
On the contrary, in fairness, the person who I talk to step down for me, and who I can confess to you, share with me what politics is in Edo, because I didn't live here. He says, Yamu. Because he had formed what I can call a rebel group, or a splitter group, to put it nicely. What he called No Man is God. They decided to dear Chief Anini's, of blessed memory, his control of Edo politics, another godfathers. Check his balance sheet and check his his tax receipt to tell you his net worth. It is true I didn't have money. That is true. But I know, and people knew me, even people I don't know. Now I can say it now because with time everything can be declassified. There were institutions I fought. I got them shut down for not treating their workers well. There were responsible Nigerians I had serious disagreement with, not on personal basis, on behalf of Nigerian workers. And there were people who, cautious of my connection, I had a standing policy in the NSC. I said, anybody that comes, who wants a letter for introduction for employment, I told my secretary, just get the name, get the phone number, I'll sign. But if it's contract, I will not. Because President Obasanjo could say tomorrow, I am soliciting contract. But for employment, at least a legitimate thing. Many of those people advertised my account. And people were contributing. Some called me to say, remember you helped me here, you helped me there. But even people that I fought, the Guardian, for example, the Guardian didn't give me money. But just to tell you the irony of life, Guardian had problems with their employees. Then Emeka Ezizi was the MD, and Agbati was one of the most outstanding columnists, and I think he's still one if he writes very well. And they sacked two of their reporters, and they reported to me. I had to go there with the permission of NUG. And we showed out the Guardian. For 2-3 weeks, Guardian was out of circulation. And I thought that Guardian would never forgive me. Twice we shut it down. First, to reinstate those people who later grew to become editors. And the other was to review their salary structure because they were the least paid employees. And people would typically say that it's a privilege to walk in the vineyard of God. But you can't walk in the vineyard of God with empty stomach. So even after shutting down Guardian twice, not on personal basis, on behalf of their employees who they victimized, or who I believe were being underpaid, I was shocked when one day I bought a newspaper and I saw Guardian named me Man of the Year and titled it the People's President. So I had enormous goodwill. And that was how people, we did fundraising, and Obaseki was there, like master of ceremony. I do remember this guy too, we invited him. He's always advertising for Globe. The guy with a dreadlock. Quite many of Nigerians. The guy who chaired the luncheon was, I think he's late now, Tayo Akpata, Chief Tayo Akpata, he was there. And Apostle Alile, he was there. Quite a number of others. So the total amount we raised was about 10 million from that fundraising in Lagos. Obaseki's contribution was about 100,000. And he brought some consultants. I realized now that he has this history of consultancy, that those who help to manage the team, we need to pay them a commission. Well, that was the deal. Of course, we paid. There are individual Nigerians who I thought would want me to even pass by their house, who came to my aid. And I did not spend much money. My total campaign costs, going around the states and spreading the message, was less than 180 million. Because, like Obimundia told me, he said the reason election is expensive is that when two strangers appear before the electorate, the first citizen of the electorate to say, these two are thieves. After election, we'll see them again. Say, but when somebody they know, they believe in appears, where you will give 10 naira, or 100 naira, if I bring 1 naira, I'm good to go. And that came to pass. And he also told me, because that was the time of rigging, that if the election is rigged, the people will fight and defend it. But that the reason that when they rig election in Nigeria, the riggers get away with it, is that the people don't believe that in any case the result that was announced was their own result. And therefore you are your own. And true, the day INEC announced Professor Subo as the winner of an election that I won, it's an open secret. Within hours, Benin City was shut down. But I made sure I discouraged them from violence. We took over the city till about 8 p.m. I thought it was getting dangerous, and I said, go back. And then I assembled lawyers, and they reclaimed my mandate with judges that are courageous. So how can anybody?
So what you heard?
It's like somebody saying now that he helped you to change the bulb in this city without the aid of a ladder. You know that by your height, you and I, we can't touch the ceiling. There are things we can't claim. Because then if we claim it, people can objectively determine whether it is true or not. That's why I say check his net worth.
So what
go to his tax receipt to show you his annual income and the balance sheet of Africans.
So when you heard that he said he's going to end your political career after this election, how does that make you feel?
See, I wish we are not discussing personalities. A political lizard is saying that he's going to end the political relevance of a political lion. And you want me to debate that? When PDP as a machine, at the peak of their power, and ordered the Obasanjo's regime of do or die politics, he said so publicly. And Chief Anini clarified it. Do or die means if he loses Edo State, for example, it means he's politically dead. Those well-known, respected nationally, these were no local champions. Late Chief Anini was respected beyond the bounds of southern Nigeria, all the way all over the country. Ogbemundia, not only has he paid his dues as a former governor, he's highly respected in this time. But when it comes to that electoral issues, Edo people believe I, not those people. And I won. And they just said, that was my opening remark, that they will teach me a lesson, that labor is not politics. That's why I said in the end, those who said they were going to teach me, they end up being my pupils, and I became the professor. Now you're asking me, a man who was not registered voter, how could win a unit? In the last presidential election, Obaseki lost his ward. He lost his local government. He lost his, he's represented in the House of Rep by PDP. He's represented in the Senate by PDP. I myself, not being a governor, we won all our House of Assembly. We won all our federal constituencies in Edo North. We won, the only senator from Edo is from my area. So how can a guy who, anyway, he can say it to you because after all, with 3 credit, he claimed to go to university. So he can claim that he's going to teach me a lesson, but the examination day is on Saturday. So we'll find out who is the teacher.
Are you confident you're going to win? Your party?
Yeah, I wanted to make that correction. I'm confident that APC will win because Edo people won't forget in a hurry the state, the condition of Edo State with regards to infrastructure, however that is defined, compared to what I did or APC did when I was governor. So what is the basis of Obaseki? I think it's rely on Wike promising him he will going to bring the river tactics. Okowa is helping him to tie road. Now, this should interest you. Obaseki's dismal performance is such that, and don't take it from me, call somebody or send a reporter to Ibanke, and they will tell you it's Okowa, embarrassed by Obaseki's poor performance. He has to go there to tie, to do grading of 1 or 2.1 kilometer road, which I was only able to complete before the end of my tenure. I did all the other 8 streets in Ibanke. The same thing in Abuja. Now that this river is a Delta State governor that is doing grading to save Obaseki embarrassment, tells you what rural people think about Obaseki's performance. You saw the Enigis when I went to visit them. Although I saw you say I knelt down begging them because you are not familiar with our culture. One of the things going for me is that maybe because of my height, I have no difficulties going on my knees before people who are up to my father's age. And in our culture, you kneel down for traditional rulers. And what you also fail to acknowledge is that when I went on my knees, they stood up. In acknowledgement of my stewardship, I knelt down to thank them for the support they gave me. And I've always knelt down, even as a city governor then. Even when I was told that by protocol, governor doesn't kneel down for royal father, I said, it doesn't make sense. That in the morning, I'm kneeling down for you. In the afternoon, when I become governor, I'm standing up. And then in the evening, when my tenure is over, I learn to kneel down. A father will always be a father. Protocol to the extent that it's not criminal to obey your culture and it's not anti-Christ to do so, I have no difficulties at all.
Let me ask you, you are helping and you are holding Pastor Izeyamu's hand at most of the campaigns. And everywhere you went, you were talking about what you did and what you hope that he will do. The big question is, have you sat down with him on some of the ideas that you think the people of Edo are yearning for? And if that is so, what do you think is at the heart of this campaign that you have discussed with Pastor Izeyamu that is critical for him to do should he win this election?
That is very interesting. You know, when people talk about my following Pastor Izeyamu, first they say so as if I am the only one following him. The entire APC machinery is behind Pastor Izeyamu. It's true that other people may not have been governors, but they have their political relevance in their respective constituency. Obaseki, on the other hand, also have some PDP leaders following him. The difference is that those PDP leaders, many of them have no electoral value. I saw Chief Ikimi the other day diverting attention from what will Obaseki do for Edo State. We were talking about Asiwaju. For all of the period Chief Ikimi was our leader here, for example, I call him a man I compare to, with due respect to him, like American old Chevrolet. He's an elderly man, so to say old is not offensive. In an American old Chevrolet, you put 10 gallons in 1 mile before it's finished. So when he left APC, then is when we started winning in Igwebe. Ask him the record. We started winning in Igwebe after Chief Ikimi left us. And those are the names that follow him. So the problem is they emphasize my name because the truth is God has blessed me with an image. And that is the Lord's doing. They don't have that image. If Chief Ikimi walk past the street, those who will recognize him are maybe people of his age. Right? And I'm not saying I will do the working. The same thing with the other PDP leaders that are following him. None of them has a record of performance. My brother, my very good brother, is our high chief. I respect him a lot. The proprietor of AIT. Even though sometimes he misuses it in terms of the kind of like bellow stories he carries. But I've just decided that I've had enough of his abuse. In any case, AIT cannot determine the outcome of an election. High Chief Raymond Okwesi. Ask him. He was a PDP. He was rigged out. The only time he contested the election, he told me he learned his lesson about PDP rigging machine. When they talk, ask him, when last did he deliver his word? Even in the election that he was so determined to win in 2015, we defeated him. And we will continue to defeat him. So they have people who have no electoral value. And also when they see I stepped out, they see the warmth of the people. People are excited. Osho Baba, Osho Quick, Osho Challenger, Osho Spirit. I mean, this is my, if you like, my own gratuity. Because how many public officers because you belong to the very critical segment of the media, how many public officers can walk in their state on the street after leaving office? So to leave office 4 years ago and find I can go anywhere and the market practically shut down. On purpose, I went to Idake market because that is where he went to tell someone truth that I sold market, as if market is vegetable. And I said, okay, you should have published the document of transaction because he's the governor. He's the official custodian of all the documents. So they are not stay secret. You see the reaction, and you may don't mind him. He came here, promised us he would give us money. He never did. When I was governor, I gave the two market women 100 million. I said, go and recapitalize your small-scale businesses. And they didn't have to suffer any disaster. Because I believe that when we empower the women, we empower a household.
So, what did you agree with Pastor Isayam for him to
now,
do?
let me tell you that question. Agreement is not the issue, no. What makes Pastor Isayam case fundamentally different, I use the word fundamentally, is that Isayam has idea of what the challenges are. He wrote his, what he calls simple agenda in 2016 and marketed it in on a wrong political party platform. I have no input in the writing of that document. But everything that I have done in Edo and everything that represents continuity, which I expected from Obaseki and which Obaseki agreed to, is contained in that document. Namely, dealing with critical issue of infrastructure. Because I keep saying that what rural people need is not our tears. Nor do they need sermon for young people to remain, to avoid this rural-urban migration. What they need is to take development down to their doorstep. If they have light, they have standard roads, they have hospital, they can find life meaningful wherever they are in the state. And that explains why I built standard roads everywhere. Even the one that they use for Okpekpe now, many people thought it was impossible. Go and interview the people of Okpekpe. Go and interview the people of EB. Go and interview the people of Anegbete. Go and interview the people of Via Southwest, the road we constructed to Siloko. Go and interview the traditional ruler of Umonde. This is Edo South, where Obaseki come from. He will tell you that the only road they had in Umonde was the one I built. Go and interview the people in Abudu. They will tell you that the only road they have in Abudu was the one I built. Because before I came, people in Abudu were no longer staying there, even though Abudu is the headquarters of Okimbaloye local government. Because there were no roads. I did those jobs.
So those are
then go to, so I tell people, Pastor Isayam incidentally, on his own, not aided by me, wrote down, and that again makes a difference. When you put down your thoughts with regards to what you believe the issues are and how you will deal with them, it differs from somebody who just have an oral pronouncement that you cannot put to anything. Seun, I need you because you are building a huge reputation in China. I need you to follow the missing details when we do rallies. Did you notice that the day they did their flag off, why PDP flag off, there was no statement of manifesto, this is what I'm going to do. Nor was there an acknowledgement of this is what I have done before, and this is not what I will do next. Compare that to Pastor Isayam. The day of the launching, he brought out his simple agenda and explained S, security, I, infrastructure, etc., P, public-private partnership, E, employment. He explained it on his own, written it down. It's not written by me. He wrote it in 2016, and he said nothing had changed. He still believed that those things are relevant. And so if a man sat down to think through the problem in his environment and have the effort to write it down, why use effort? Some people may not want to commit themselves to writing because the written word does not perish. But the vocal word can be denied, even or not.
All right.
In the case of Obaseki. So that is the difference.
Okay.
So because they are the product of his own thinking, his own evaluation, and he has lived in this state, he has worked with many people, he knows all the 80 local government, he's traveled around, not because of this election, he's done so since 1999, he's been active. And so he wrote that document himself. What comes from your heart? Now compare that to me, speaking like, it's interestingly, I'm surprised you have not asked the question. What they are using to campaign in 2020 is what I said the Obaseki will do in 2016, which he has not done. I was happy the other day you were doing an interview. You will show that beautiful water fountain. I plead with you. That beautiful water fountain that is even in the laboratory we did yesterday, and you use it as a background in your one of your interview, I think last month, tracing between APC and PDP debate. Now you go to Oborame Square, the Ring Road, where that beautiful, colorful water fountain is with acoustic sound, etc. It's gone. Even the generator we're using to power it is gone. You are being Benin now for 2 weeks because you are amiable, you want to find out what is going on, who is saying what, who is doing what, and do your assessment. Also, take that amiable spirit, go to the Ring Road and say, where is the water fountain here? And then interview young people, and they're not so young. What happened here? Take your own evaluation. Because beyond reporting what I say and what they say, the issue is, what do you know? That's why I speak of IMAC. IMAC, what I can see. I popularized the concept in Edo that in matters of, in spiritual life, Bible, Christianity, religion, yes, maybe it's true that God shall bless those who did not see but believe the word of God. But in matters of politics and of politicians be anybody holding a political office or passing through a political process or being active in the process of electioneering, you do well not to believe what you haven't seen, particularly when that politician is in office. So Obaseki, as a city governor, ought to be using those screens to roll out his achievements. Instead, he's putting out the electoral rhetorics. But unfortunately, we don't have the kind of money they have. Pastor doesn't have such money. We should be playing what Danubi said of his first term, his second term, his third term, and what he said about his certificate. And also, now that he says, as if he did it, Edo was a completely zero when he came in, play back his inaugural speech in 2016, where he agreed that I have laid a foundation. He agreed that he went through my mentorship. When somebody acknowledged that I was his mentor, and he said, you mentor me along with others, he was referring to the deputy governor and some other persons who are working with him. So a man who called me his mentor, and who admitted to be mentored by me, and he said he valued that mentorship, and that we laid the credible foundation on which they will now build. Now, it's not convenient for you to ask me how somebody I mentored, or who agreed that I mentored him, how he can turn out to say he's my mentor. No, this is important to show how a man who, because you have it on channel television, I'll forward it to you now immediately finish this interview, where he said he will always treasure the love, the trust, and the mentorship. And not only for him, but also with his colleague with whom they are in government. Now, somebody I mentored is now telling you, and you are asking me if it is true that he was responsible for my being a governor. Fast and stubborn. And what I learned early in life, never try to wrestle with the truth. Because wrestling with the truth, first you can't defeat the truth. Number two, you have to keep on telling tons of lies to sustain just one first lie.
Comrade, because this needs to go on air tonight, and so let us wrap up quickly. And on this note, I want us to wrap up. Just in a few seconds. Election is about winning or losing. Should your party lose this election, what would you do?
We'll prepare for the next one. Well, if we lose, first I believe we will win, but until the votes are counted, nobody is sure. Only God, as we speak, can say this is the winner, right? But we believe, we've done our opinion survey and everything, and we believe that on balance we will win handsomely.
What's your opinion survey saying?
Wait. The outcome is one of the brokers that I've met today, that we must learn to accept an outcome of a contest. I said so during the, when I was national chairman, which, during the Buhari campaign. I said, unless you are ready to accept the pain of defeat, not just the pleasure of victory, don't go into contest. Because one of the two will happen to you. It's either you win which everybody can celebrate, or you lose and you learn how to live with the defeat. But the good thing in democracy is that if we elect a good man who has a good heart, who will work for the people, there's even no loser. Because if Pastor develop Edo and fill the gaps, he opened the general hospital, and an Obaseki's relation goes there to get treatment, which is currently close to poor people, Obaseki has gained. If he's able to drive more roads and provide more security, Obaseki's property in Benin will be safer. He will have benefited. So in a genuine democracy, if the right person is elected, there's no loser. Unless if your purpose is not public service.
So would you extend a hand of fellowship to Governor Obaseki should you lose?
I am not the candidate.
No, I'm saying your party. When I say you, I mean your
Let
party
me
as an
clarify a few things. I'm not national chairman. I am a PC member.
What is your party?
Whether we as APC members will accept, of course. In fact, the issue is not even to accept. Do I have a choice? Can you impose yourself? What is the difference between military dictatorship and democracy? In a dictatorship, they impose themselves. In a democracy, the people decide. If they don't decide in your favor, the best thing you can do, which our leader has taught us, President Muhammad Buhari, is either to give up or you retreat and you prepare for another day. In this particular case, the only person who has never suffered electoral defeat, because he's like a typical guy, a baby, you carry on your back, you cross the river, you did not allow his leg to touch the water, or a black man, you put him on the back, you cross a river, you didn't allow his leg to touch the water, he will never know that what it takes to cross the river, unless you put the leg there. So Obaseki came on our back, not being competent even to win a councillorship election, but drawing on our collective goodwill, he became a governor, right? And Pastor Yamu in the process lost. Pastor did not set Edo ablaze. He went to court, he lost in court, and he accepted defeat. And as you can see, he did not lose faith in the process. Because if he has no faith in the process, he will not try a second time. So that my candidate or APC candidate has had to accept an electoral defeat before is not a theoretical question, it's a practical issue. The person who has never tasted defeat is Obaseki.
But would you extend a hand of fellowship to him in any case?
Why not?
Should you win or lose?
I have a record on that. And please take this seriously, because that reflects my heart. I believe that once we settle for democracy, people have a right to refuse to vote for you. They also have a right to vote for you, but they don't have to give reason. And those who oppose you, when you win, you govern all. When I was governor, with all my firework with late Chief Anini of blessed memory, and I'm happy we settled before he died, one of the first roads I constructed was to Chief Anini's ancestral home, Kuzanima, initial land. The primary school Anini attended, I was told this is the school he attended, I rebuilt the school. I sank borehole in late Chief Anini's community. I don't belong to, you see, I come from a liberal background. In trade unions, we are used to protestation, debate. We argue, we close the door, we fight. But once we come out, solidarity forever, we hold our hands in unity. Because how can you expect a democracy where every aspirant wins? It's not possible.
Comrade Oshiomhole, thank you so much indeed for your time.
It's been a great pleasure talking to you.
I wish you the very best.
Thank you for covering the Edo 2020.
Thank you so much.
And let me also use this opportunity to assure Edo people that what is important is the process. If 2 angels or 10 angels are on parade to contest for governorship of Edo State, only 1 angel will win. Not because the other 9 are not angels, but because only 1 angel is required. Therefore, whatever happens, the interest of the state will remain constant. The tenant in government house will change. And so there should no room for violence. We should do it peacefully. We should celebrate democracy and the power of the people. They are the landlord of democracy. The governors are tenants. They will come and go. The people remain.
Thank you so much indeed. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Till I come again, I am Bemiga Olamikon.